Yeah, last week I spent probably about 4 or 5 hours going through it, and I went through it all again yesterday.
Yeah, well, I kind of perused it, but then last night I sat down and read all the pages. Got real boring when I got to all those.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, some of those things will put you to sleep.
Sure.
Yes, ma'am.
I probably moved your water over where you didn't want it, but I was afraid I was gonna knock it over there.
That's fine. Yeah, these are the bottles that Flower had them.
Yeah, these are all the eye charts.
Just a reminder, please turn on your microphone when you get ready to speak.
I'll try.
We could have a rap battle after the meeting.
Now, did the owner plan on coming?
Who?
The owner?
But either owner or the engineer will be here.
Oh,
yes.
okay.
Yes.
I don't know, now you I don't think.
Yeah, we've done other projects.
Okay. Well, it's very detailed.
I left the house to a screaming puppy.
You got a new puppy?
Yeah, I lost my German Shorthair Pointer a year ago after 13 years. Right after Helena, we drove down to St. Petersburg and picked a new one up. And she was evacuated because the breeder's house got flooded. So they evacuated all the dogs in a canoe.
Oh, wow. That was-
So she's already got a boat ride.
Yeah, hopefully nobody's trying to escape the canoe.
And she's gonna be a big girl. She's what, 17 weeks old and she's 35 pounds.
Oh, wow.
Wow, how big do they get?
Females usually get about 60 to 70 pounds. The males get 90 and above. I had a male, my first one was a male, he was 110 pounds.
Oh, wow, that's a lot of dog.
What breed?
A German Shorthair Pointer.
Oh.
And when I got the second one, I actually looked till I found a small one. And she was the best dog I ever had.
Up was fun.
And
I
she-
want a dog, but he has to retire because he works way too many hours and it's his dog, even though it'd be my dog, but you know how that does. Yeah.
But in another 2 weeks, I'll start her hunting training and that'll be a full-time
Oh,
job.
yeah, definitely. All our dogs do this on cows, right, Danny? Yeah. Yeah, man, the woods will be covered up.
Well, I lived in the last, well, except for 2 years I lived in Tucson, I lived in Colorado and South Dakota.
Oh,
I
you?
did a lot of pheasant hunting and grouse hunting.
Oh.
But when I moved here, it took a week for me to get my camper dug out. I had drifts on the back of the garage. They were about 16 feet tall, and they were about, well, between the shed and that was another 14 feet, and then it was back about another 12, and then beside the house where the camper was, it was 14 feet wide, and it was up to the top of the 6-foot fence all the way back.
So, yeah, I'm from Minnesota.
Oh,
I know
yeah,
about
you
it.
betcha.
Yeah.
And God. And I got it all dug out on a Sunday, and I put my snow blower on Marketplace, and it was gone out of my driveway, sold in 5 minutes.
Wow. So everybody else, they had their share of snow, too.
Yeah, they were digging out. And people laugh at me because when I was up there, if I got 4 inches of snow, I didn't care if it was pouring down snow. I went out, plowed, shoveled,
Yeah, you were smart. 'cause
and
then
kept it done.
Didn't get piled up and packed down and turned into ice.
Yep.
Yeah. Been there, done that, too.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do
I don't miss about South Dakota, all that stuff.
Well, we lived in Minnesota and Wisconsin, didn't we? So, yeah, we had our trouble when it anymore.
But my wife's retiring in January, so my plan is,
She's still working.
yeah, my plan is as soon as, because when I lived in South Dakota, from September 1st through February, end of February, I was hunting something. That's all I did.
You wouldn't have for a job if you were hunting something.
Well, I was retired.
Oh, well.
I retired, what, 10 years ago. I retired when I was 57.
Oh.
And I just hunt and hunt and hunt, and then I moved down here and I haven't hunted since.
Well, God, it's way different down here than it is there.
Yeah, you have to be in a club if you want to have fun hunting.
Yeah.
Just being by yourself. You can go squirrel hunting, something like that, but
These squirrels.
real hunting, you need to be in one of these clubs where they lease the
Yeah.
land. and-
Now, I quote unquote hunt without a gun in my woods. I've got 8 permanent deer that live in my woods, and I got a nice buck that's in there now. I go out in the woods and I sit, and I know where all the trails are, and
And there's
I
three
just,
right back here, and they travel right through my yard and go over to
I
Deanna's
just,
house. and then-
I go out and watch them.
Yeah.
The other morning, I had 6 of them right up on the fence. Dog run up to the fence. The deer go back about 5 feet and look at him like, you can't get me.
Smart deer. And they got recognize your voice. You know,
Oh, yeah,
they are.
yeah. Yeah. I love my deer. Of course, the biggest deer I ever saw in my life used to bed down in my backyard in Rapid City on the side. When the winds would come up, he'd bed down right there. Big old mule deer buck.
Wow. Well, we had a lot of guys somewhere.
It's 6, we took.
Oh, meaning?
I go by that club.
Oh, okay, my bad.
Yeah, we got minutes.
We got 2 minutes.
Well, I mean, it just makes sense because
That's fine. We used to go right up in the apple orchard. I think the guy had some couple boards and we'd perch up there at 4 o'clock in the morning since daybreak. And they'd wander underneath and get our deer and haul them before we had to go milk. So, yeah,
Yeah.
we had 30, 40 at a time. We had a whole field back there with hay.
I remember one time 15 minutes after legal shooting time, I had the deer field dressed and loaded in the truck that was driving off.
Well, I was used to big deer down here. They don't have them.
Yeah, big deer. Never bought meat up there. I used to get 5 deer a year.
no, really good work. I would now like to call the December meeting of the Archer Planning and Zoning Board to order. It is now 6 o'clock. If we would stand and face the flag, please.
You have to move over, Scott, or not getting up. Okay.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. Alrighty. We have 4 of 5 board members here, which constitutes a quorum, so any business conducted this evening will be official. If I could ask the board members to peruse the minutes of the July meeting and recommend any changes or to accept these minutes.
Linda Kosicki, I do have a correction. Instead of July, I think this is the March meeting. Right? Because July was a city council meeting, commission meeting, right? No, this is, okay. I stand corrected.
I make a motion to accept the minutes.
I second that, Linda Kosicki.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries unanimously. We are here this evening to discuss resolution number 2024-30, requesting a conditional use permit by EDA Consultants as an agent for Universe Transportation, LLC, for parking of vehicles outside of enclosed structures within a commercial C2 zoning district. I would ask at this time if you would read it by title only, please.
Mr. Chair, this is a resolution of the Planning and Zoning Board of the City of Archer, Florida, recommending to the City Commission of the City of Archer, Florida, approval of a conditional use permit for parking of vehicles outside of enclosed structures within a commercial C2 zoning district, as provided within Table 16.06, Item 10.3 of the Land Development Code, on certain lands within the corporate limits of the City of Archer, Florida, repealing resolutions in conflict and providing an effective date.
Thank you. Do we have a representative of the person requesting this? Thank you. If you would state your name and begin speaking.
Just one moment. Mr. Chair, this is a quasi judicial, so we'll want to make sure
okay.
that we go through.
We're going to need to swear you in.
If anyone who intends to speak on this issue will stand and raise their right hand. All right, do you swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. And your name for the record?
My name is Claudia Vega.
Okay, thank you very much. And Mr. Chair, if you wouldn't mind, before we get into the substance, if we could have each of the board members indicate whether or not they've had any ex parte communications on this item. And ex parte communication is any communication that outside of a public hearing.
I talked to Joe, I don't know his last name, at the Archer Auto Repair. They're a neighbor of this place.
And what was the content of that conversation?
I just asked him if he had any problems with them. He said they were great people, good neighbors, and that was it.
And do you certify that any decision you make tonight will only be based on the information presented in this hearing and not on your ex parte communications?
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you, Mr.
All
Chair.
clear?
None.
Thank you.
The floor is now yours.
Thank you. My name is Claudia Vega, and I'm representing EDA Consultants. And we are representing the owner of this project. He's proposing office with some parking, not parking, but also some parking for the trucks. And he's proposing to have just a stormwater basin, which we already have a permit from the Water Management District. And he will be served by water well and a septic tank. It's a very small, and yeah, he has been a neighbor from the rest of this. There are other 4 properties in there. They have been there for a while. And I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Okay, I've already mentioned to the board that this is already zoned commercial. It's only a change in the use of it. Do we have any discussion?
Briefly, Mr. Chair, would the applicant like the materials that are attached to the agenda to be moved into the official record?
Yes, please.
Thank you. Just for the record.
Linda Kosicki, yes, I do have a couple questions. What kind of trucks are you going to be parking there?
They're not gonna. They're mid-sized trucks.
So they're regular, like delivery
Regular-
trucks?
Yes, they're
And-
not gonna be
And
big.
what do they haul?
I'm sorry?
What do they haul? What do they carry? What are they for?
He used them for his business, so he sometimes kind of repairs them or just storage them, and then they go and do just any transportation more than that. But they are
Okay.
kind of mid-sized trucks.
And what kind of business is this? Is it just trucking business?
It's also a storage for him.
Okay.
But I don't know exactly what is he transporting.
Okay.
That I don't know.
Well, could be quite brief. Anyone like to make a motion to
Well,
accept or
well-
deny this
Look,
resolution?
I had a question, because that was one of my big questions, is what is the warehouse there, and, you know, is it hazardous material? What kind of,
There are no hazardous materials. It's more for his operation because as part of the Water Management District permit, we are certifying that there is no hazardous materials storage in the
Okay.
office.
Linda Kosicki, how many trucks do you think that will be going back and forth?
Oh, let's see. 1 second. So we do have, for the warehouse, the trucking is about 6 trucks per day.
Okay, thank you.
Are you the engineer that prepared all of this report?
Yes.
Linda Kosicki, I make a motion for the sake of more talking and discussing to pass resolution number 2024 is it 30 or 20? 30, right? 30.
I second the motion.
That was Ann Green. All right, it's been moved and seconded that we accept this and approve this resolution. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
One
Aye.
moment, one,
Yeah, yes,
just before you take the vote, we'll need to see if there's any other discussion from the board, and then we also need to take public comment.
well, I didn't do that because nobody else raised their hand, but.
They could swear in at this
Would
point.
anyone else, any other citizens like to make a comment or ask a question? We good? Okay.
If there's nothing else from the board, you're welcome to go to a vote.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Passes unanimously. We will now open this meeting up to anyone who wishes to address this board on any planning and/or zoning business for the city of Archer at this time. There being none, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Linda Kosicki, I make a motion to adjourn.
Don Hinch, I second that motion.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? The meeting is adjourned, 6:10. Thank you all for attending. Sorry it wasn't any more entertaining.
No, this was very specific.